I think when I came on the show in 2015 and got to do Celebrity Jeopardy, I just saw how special this environment was. And I remember thinking this would be like a dream job. You know, if Alex ever retired at like 90, you know, to come back and be a part of this. Just 'cause I love trivia so much, and I just loved kind of the environment. It's not like a super lax environment. There's an intensity, a focus that comes with the game. And I thought it'd be a fun challenge, and it definitely was. There's a lot of nostalgia, I think, wrapped up in this show for me, because I used to watch it when I was a kid, when I'd go on my weeks to my grandma and grandpa's house. It was a staple in their house, you know, every night. And I'd sit there on the floor and have really no idea what was going on, but I just remember almost like the voice of Alex. It was one of those voices of my youth, with him and with John Madden and Al Michaels and some of these people who kind of narrated my childhood, and I feel like he was part of that, and it carried on into the last 16 years in Green Bay. It's been a staple in my house, whether I watch it live or it's recorded. I think probably 90% of my TiVo is wrapped up in Jeopardy episodes. I think just respect for the position. You know, Alex did it with such grace and humility. I just wanted to bring the same type of approach to let you people know that I was focused, that I cared about it, that I love the game, and that I wanted to do him justice. Well, you know, there's so many. You know, my favorite viral video was the football category, which I thought he handled so incredibly well. You know, it was like the last category on the board. Nobody wanted to pick on it before. Those were the only 5 clues left, and there wasn't even a ring in. But just, you know, how he led into that last clue was so perfect, because it was like an SNL, you know, Celebrity Jeopardy skit where he's like, let's just look at it just for the fun of it. I think we all loved, you know, his wit there. But personally, you know, 2 things really stick out in my interactions with him. The first is when he walked in the room the first time. We were back in the green room in 2015, and he has such a presence about him. And such a charisma. I mean, when he walked in the room, it was like, the only thing I can compare it to is when I was in Alaska, I was randomly in a sled dog race. And the first 8 dogs got out of the carrier, and they're yipping and going crazy, and there's a lot of energy in the air. And the lead dog comes out last. And when he comes out, the whole group of 8 dogs got quiet. I mean, literally, there was no sound. And the lead dog walks up to the front of the sled, gets harnessed in, and it's time to go. And I felt like he had that presence when he came into the room. It was like everything kind of got quiet. It was like, oh my God, there's Alex Trebek. And that was a really special moment. And the second is, you know, a few years back, there was a film crew that was following me, and they had reached out to Alex to do an interview. And a guy who gets pulled in so many directions, and, you know, he's obviously in his, you know, he's up there in age, but he sat down at a local hotel with this film crew and did, I think, over an hour of an interview. And they were asking questions about me, and literally the only interaction we had was on Celebrity Jeopardy, which was years before that. But for him to take the time to do that was something that I always really appreciated, and his words meant a lot to me. You know, and then the biggest thing that I just wanted to think about was slowing down. I think the nerves come up, especially the first few games, when I really feel like I had some problems with some of the clues, reading them. But just, I ended up writing on my podium just some kind of code words, you know, slow down, relax, speak clearly. Then I put a funny one on there that I was wondering if anybody would see, and John actually came over and
don't
saw
pick your
that.
nose.
Don't pick your nose, don't pick your butt. You know, just a couple important things. Sometimes, you know, even the best, the sharpest mental folks, which I try and be, we have some negative self-talk that comes up from time to time, whether before a game or before a show. So I tried to be kind to myself and be gentle with myself, but the most important thing that I try to do before the show was something that I've been doing for a while now. I like to do it before games, on the field, before 2-minute drives, and it's called box breathing. So you have a rhythmic breathing structure that helps to lower your heart rate. It's the same amount of seconds that you inhale, you hold, and you exhale and you hold. And what it does is it really relaxes your system. And so when I was side stage, Ryan can probably attest to this, But I was doing that just because there were times where I was like, oh my God, like this is real. I'm really going out and I have to like, you know, take us on this journey to Trivia Land and get us from where we're at to the end of the show. How am I going to do that? And it started to be overwhelming, the nerves that came up. So I just really tried to settle myself. Not sure it worked every single time, but I did definitely feel better after doing those breathing routines. Well, I think there's a lot of the same characteristics. You know, I've always said the best players are the smartest players. And on my team, I've often wanted intelligence over skill because trusting someone's going to be in the right place at the right time, to me, is more important than hoping that a guy who's super talented may or may not be there. And I think the key to being football smart is the focus. And the key to really being good at this game or good at hosting is that same focus, where you have to have an incredible understanding of the intricacies of the game and when to insert yourself and when to remove yourself. As a player, you have to be good on that buzzer. You have to have such focus on the host reading that you understand right when he's done and that board lights up. Now, that's when I can get in, because a lot of times it comes down to that ability to get in at the right time, especially when you're playing with some really amazing players. Yeah, I mean, I looked at the cards, and a lot of times there were interesting facts, but maybe there was something else on the info card that I thought was more interesting, or maybe would make for a better story. I don't know if it did every single time, but I feel like there were a few things that were pretty cool that we uncovered. It's always the beauty, I think, of this show is after the first commercial break, the comeback. There's been some bizarre answers over the years when I've watched it. Some like nerdiest of nerdy answers of all time, and then some like really like cool, strange facts. And I just kind of wanted to pick either things that were really crazy or things that were, surprising maybe about the contestants. Well, you know, I feel like anybody who's went to an Ivy League school would probably do pretty well. A couple guys that I know, a former teammate of mine, J.C. Tretter, who's actually the president of the NFLPA, he went to Cornell. He'd be good. Ryan Fitzpatrick, longtime quarterback, went to Harvard. I think he'd be fantastic as well. But I will say, you know, being a self-proclaimed smartest guy on the team, I encounter some of my teammates who like try to test me from time to time with whether it's trivia or some other sort of game. So I would love to see my linemen, who I love so much, but who are also very opinionated guys who think they're absolutely brilliant humans. So I'm talking about David Bakhtiari, I'm talking about Corey Linsley, and Lucas Patrick. I'd like to see those three guys right up here on the stage in a normal Jeopardy game, or even a celebrity Jeopardy game, which might be a little easier, and just see how well they do. Yeah, I chose the North Valley Community Foundation. It's a foundation in Butte County, California, which is up in Northern California. I grew up in Chico, which is in Butte County, and they've been a really important part of the rebuild of so many areas in Butte County. Now, Northern California, if you understand this, what's going on up there, what has gone on, we've been hit with a number of natural disasters. Starting with the fire in Santa Rosa, which burned so much of that area. We had a fire in Redding as well, which is 70 miles north of Chico. And then the Camp Fire, which originated in Paradise, California, which is only 10 minutes away from Chico, really burnt the town to the ground almost. There were very few structures left. And what the NBCF did was I got involved, a couple of my sponsors got involved, and we raised a ton of money to start to rebuild the systems that were in place around. I'm talking about after-school programs for kids. I'm talking about sports programs. I'm talking about providing money for schools that had no money. I'm talking about food, the things, the necessities that we had. And in doing that, I realized just what a great heart that the leader, Alexa Benson, has for the area. And as we've seen from COVID, so many small businesses are getting rocked. And being 37, so many of my high school friends and college friends are in the age where they've gone out in the corporate world, they've done that job for a number of years, and a lot of them gone out on their own and started small businesses. And because of the pandemic, COVID-19, so many of their businesses have been absolutely crushed. And we have started a fund to support those people and to stay with them as long as the pandemic persists and they're not able to operate normally with business. So we're going to provide a ton of money, and thanks to Jeopardy, I mean, that's an incredible amount of money that's going to go so far and change so many people's lives. People who have lost hope, you know, businesses who are on the brink of bankruptcy. So this cause means a lot to me, and I'm very, very thankful for the money that we raised.